Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's breakfast headlines. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says Prime Minister willing to speak to everyone to ensure passage of the GST bill. Government also open to a debate in Parliament on the issue of intolerance. Heated arguments during the debate on Constitution on Thursday. Home Minister Rajnath Singh says secular and socialist terms unnecessary. Congress President Sonia Gandhi claims core constitutional values under attack in recent times. Bihar Chief Minister announces his government's decision to ban alcohol from April 2016. Ban was Nitish Kumar's poll promise to women voters. Turkey refuses to apologize for downing of Russian jet on the Syrian border. Russian President Vladimir Putin threatens economic retaliation. And India looked to take an unassailable lead in the test series against South Africa on the third day of the second test in Nagpur. Visitors need 278 runs to win on a spinner-friendly track. In Parliament today, the new members will take oath in both houses. In the Rajya Sabha, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will raise a discussion on commitment to India's constitution as part of the 125th birth anniversary celebration of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. In the lower house, the discussion will continue on the commitment to India's constitution initiated by Rajnath Singh on the first day of the session. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will conclude the debate on the Indian constitution. Well, signifying the government's inclination for a debate over all issues during the winter session, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that discussions and dialogue are the soul of Parliament. Opposition parties too agreed with the Prime Minister for smooth functioning of Parliament. However, a united opposition has also urged the government to accommodate divergent views. Here's more.
Expressing confidence that the winter session would witness eloquent discussions and exchange of innovative ideas, Prime Minister Narendra Modi stressed that there cannot be a bigger platform for dialogue than Parliament. Recalling his meeting with leaders of all parties, the Prime Minister said that everyone had agreed that the House should function in a cordial atmosphere.
सदन से बड़ा कोई संवाद का केंद्र नहीं हो सकता है। वाद हो, विवाद हो, संवाद हो, यही संसद की आत्मा है। बाकी कामों के लिए तो पूरा देश का मैदान अवेलेबल है और मुझे खुशी हुई कि सभी दलों ने वाद विवाद और संवाद के लिए सकारात्मक दृष्टिकोण प्रस्तुत किया है।
The Prime Minister's statement comes in the wake of a raging debate in the country over intolerance. The opposition has plans to corner the government over the issue and slam inflammatory comments by the ruling party's leaders.
जो लोग इसके जवाबदेह हैं देश का वातावरण दूषित करने के लिए, उन लोगों के खिलाफ वो कार्रवाई करें।
प्रधानमंत्री जवाब दें, सबका मानना है और डिबेट मुझे लगता है कि अच्छे तरीके से हो जाए और इसको हम एक दूसरे के विचारों को कम से कम सदन में टॉलरेट कर लें।
The opposition parties have said they are ready for a debate and dialogue, but also hit out at the government for adopting a dictatorial approach in Parliament.
अहम मुद्दे हैं, उसको जरूर सुनना चाहिए। बाकी जहां तक रहा सवाल कि पार्लियामेंट चलनी चाहिए, इस बात के लिए सभी सहमत हैं।
There can be dissenting positions, voices, and the parties in power, the people holding power, they must understand this and they must respect the dissent.
The winter session, which ends on the 23rd of December, will have 38 legislative items, including 7 new bills during its 20 sittings spread across 28 days. 24 of these bills are considered important, including the GST bill, 3 bills related to replacement of ordinances and the real estate regulation bill. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Marking the 125th birth anniversary of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Lok Sabha on Thursday held a discussion on the commitment to India's constitution. The core values of the constitution and its provisions were discussed in the House, but a large part of the discussion was devoted to current political issues. Here's more.
Speaking on the government's commitment towards upholding the core values of the Constitution, Home Minister Rajnath Singh said the 42nd Constitutional Amendment was unnecessary. The words secular and socialist were added to the preamble of the Constitution using this amendment.
संविधान निर्माताओं की यह मंशा थी कि प्रियम्बल जो भारत के संविधान की आत्मा है, इसमें कोई परिवर्तन नहीं होना चाहिए, एक ऐसी उनकी सोच थी। और उस सोच के बावजूद 42वें संशोधन के माध्यम से इसमें परिवर्तन किया गया। मैं यह मानता हूं कि सोशलिस्ट और सेकुलर यह शब्द यदि आवश्यक रहा होता तो निश्चित रूप से बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर ने भारत के प्रियम्बल में उसी समय सोशलिस्ट और सेकुलर इन शब्दों का जो है प्रयोग किया होता।
Rajnath Singh also said that these days the word secular was being used mostly for political gains. The Home Minister also tried to corner actor Amir Khan on the issue of intolerance.
योग्य व्यक्ति थे, विदेशों से भी उन्होंने शिक्षा प्राप्त की थी। उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, मैं भारत में ही रहूंगा और भारत की जो परंपराएं रही हैं, भारत की जो संस्कृति रही है, भारत की अन्य जो विधाएं रही हैं, उन सब सारी चीजों को ध्यान में रख के भारत को एक सशक्त भारत बनाने में मैं अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका का निर्वाह करूंगा। उनका एक संकल्प था। उन्होंने यह कभी नहीं सोचा कि हमारी भारत में उपेक्षा हुई है, भारत में मुझे समय समय पर अपमान झेलना पड़ा है, तिरस्कार झेलना पड़ा है, मैं भारत छोड़कर कहीं दुनिया के दूसरे देशों में मैं चला जाऊंगा, बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर ने ऐसा किया।
For the opposition, Congress President Sonia Gandhi started the debate. Talking about the Constitution, she said that recently the core values of the Constitution have been under attack.
तुक इसीलिए है कि संविधान के जिन आदर्शों और सिद्धांतों ने हमें दशकों से प्रेरित किया है, आज उन पर खतरा मंडरा रहा है। उन पर जानबूझकर हमला हो रहा है।
Sonia Gandhi pointed out that since the birth of the Constitution had deep ties with the independence movement, its history automatically connects with that of the Congress party. The Congress president also targeted the government by repeatedly focusing on the word history.
13 दिसंबर 1946 को संविधान सभा में ही जवाहरलाल नेहरू द्वारा प्रस्तुत उद्देश्य प्रस्तुत ऑब्जेक्टिव्स रेजोल्यूशन ने संविधान की प्रस्तावना का रूप लिया। संविधान अद्भुत रूप से लचीला साबित हुआ है। इसमें 100 से अधिक संशोधन हो चुके हैं।
The debate on the Constitution happened in the current volatile political environment. Although social and economic equality and many other topics were widely discussed, the focus of the entire debate was the issue of intolerance. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Independence and the Constitution.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that the Prime Minister Modi is willing to speak to all parties for the smooth passage of the GST bill. Jaitley has also said that the centre is open to a debate on the issue of intolerance in Parliament.
With the government hoping to roll out the next indirect tax regime of the goods and services tax from April next year, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley offered an olive branch to the opposition. Jaitley has said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is willing to speak to everyone to get the law through. Speaking to private news channel Times Now, Jaitley said that he has spoken to almost all Congress leaders in this regard.
We have absolutely no hesitation, even at the level of the Prime Minister. We've never had it in the past. We don't have it. He's willing to speak to everyone. I have discussed, and I say this without fear of contradiction, with almost every leader of the Congress party.
The Congress had stalled the passage of the GST Constitutional Amendment Bill in the last session of Parliament over its demands that a revenue-neutral rate not higher than 18% be mentioned in the Constitutional Amendment Bill. It is also opposed to states being given powers to levy an additional 1% tax on supply of goods over and above the GST rate.
Process of a political compromise, India cannot have a GST with a flawed architecture. Because once you amend the constitution, then it's going to take decades before you correct those errors.
The finance minister also spoke about the government's willingness to debate on the issue of intolerance in Parliament. The winter session is expected to get stormy from Monday when the government tables legislative business in Parliament. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj is in Malta for the Commonwealth Heads of Government Meeting Summit. The three-day-long summit that starts today will focus on combating terrorism and tackling climate change. The 53-member bloc summit is held once in 2 years, and this one comes just days after the deadly terror attacks in Paris. India is Commonwealth's biggest member country. More than 30 heads of states along with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon will attend the session. Well, it's time for a short break now. Much more lined up on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tales that inspire, stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries every Friday at 10:30 p.m, Saturday 12:30 p.m, and Sunday at 1 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, a big announcement by the Nitish Kumar government in Bihar. The Chief Minister has announced a ban on alcohol in the state from April next year. This is a poll promise that the Chief Minister had made to women voters.
Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar fulfilling a poll promise he made to women before the state voted. A ban on alcohol from April 1 next year.
और वो नीति ऐसी हो कि हमारे गरीब के जीवन में जो आज अंधेरा है शराब के चलते वो समाप्त हो.
The state earns a revenue of Rs 400 crore annually from liquor sale. Ahead of state elections, women had requested Nitish Kumar at a function to stop sale of liquor, saying it was ruining their homes. The Chief Minister had promised he would do so if he returned to power.
लेकिन वो बहुत प्रभावकारी नहीं हुआ तो बाद में फिर से वो शुरू हो गया और किसी ने इस पर ध्यान नहीं दिया.
The move has been welcomed by opposition, though they did not lose the opportunity to take a dig at the CM.
नीतीश कुमार तो 10 साल तक शराब को तो है प्रमोट किया, गांव में स्कूल नहीं खुला, सब जगह शराब का दुकान खोल दिया और अब कहता है कि शराबबंदी करें तो करें ना.
लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी विपक्ष होने के नाते पूरी तरीके से उनके इस कदम का, उनके इस प्रस्ताव का स्वागत करती है. नीतीश जी के शासनकाल में ही ये परंपरा शुरू हुई थी. हर नुक्कड़ हर चौराहे पर हम लोगों ने देखा था शराब की दुकानें खुलती आ रही हैं.
निश्चित रूप से बिहार में शराबबंदी का निर्णय स्वागत योग्य कदम है और नीतीश कुमार जी यदि इसे 1 अप्रैल से लागू कर पाते हैं तो यह बिहार के लिए अच्छी बात होगी.
The previous ruling NDA government, headed by Nitish Kumar, had implemented a liberal excise policy, due to which a large number of liquor shops came up in the state. It turned into a big issue in the recently concluded assembly elections. Women outnumbered men when it came to voter turnout during these polls, becoming a big factor in tilting the balance in Nitish's favor. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Going on now, the Delhi government has introduced a bill proposing amendments to the Working Journalists Act. The Act envisages improvement of up to 1 year and penalty extending to 10,000 rupees for any violations. The bill was tabled in the Delhi Assembly on Thursday. Delhi Labour Minister Gopal Rai said that the shortcomings in the present Act were coming in the way of implementations of several recommendations of the Majithia Wage Board for journalists and non-journalists. The proposed amendments stipulate imprisonment of up to 6 months and fine which may extend to 5,000 rupees for non-payment of the due wages to an employee. Further, they envisage more stringent penal provision which includes a punishment of imprisonment as well as provisions of enhanced fine which will provide an effective deterrence for the violators of the Act. Rai also alleged that no media organization has so far implemented the recommendations of the Majithia Wage Board in the national capital. Let's now take a look at the events lined up for the day today in our segment, The Day Ahead. President Pranab Mukherjee will be on a two-day visit to West Bengal starting today. During the visit, the President will visit the Hashimara Air Force Station at Alipardor and present the standard to 2 squadrons of the Indian Air Force. The event will see Air Force's Suryakiran aerobatic team, which took to the skies after a break of nearly 4 years, perform in the skies. This will be SCAT's second performance after it became operational again in October this year. The National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, in collaboration with the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, will celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Green Revolution in India at a function in New Delhi. Union Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Radha Mohan Singh will be the chief guest at the event. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, founder of the M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation, Chennai, will deliver the key address. The case on order on levy of environment compensation charge will come up in the Supreme Court today. On November 16, the top court had warned that a contempt notice would be issued if its order on environmental levy ranging from 700 to 1,300 rupees on commercial vehicles entering Delhi was not obeyed. SMYR Consortium LLP, which has been levying toll on behalf of MCD, is seeking modification of the order. Sri Lanka police have warned against organizing events eulogizing the LTTE after posters commemorating the Heroes' Day surfaced in the country's Tamil-dominated north. During the LTTE's 30-year campaign, November 27th was celebrated as Heroes' Day to mark the death of the outfit's first cadre Shankar in 1982. The LTTE battled Sri Lankan forces for 3 decades for a separate Tamil homeland. Moving on to some international news now. Russia has rejected Turkish claims that they were unaware that the plane it shot down on the Syrian border a few days ago was Russian. Russian President Vladimir Putin also threatened an economic retaliation against Turkey as it refused to apologize. Meanwhile, French President François Hollande met Putin in Moscow. Both agreed to work closely in their fight against the Islamic State.
War of words continues between Russia and Turkey over the downed Russian plane in Syria. Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened an economic retaliation against Turkey, even as he said they are still awaiting a reasonable explanation for the shooting down of its warplane. Russia might order restrictive measures against Ankara that would include freezing new joint investment projects. Not ready to apologize, Turkey dismissed the threats as emotional and unfitting. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that had they known the plane was Russian, they would have warned it differently.
Bu noktada bazı tehditlerle ortak projeler durdurulabilir. Aramızdaki şu andaki bazı münasebetler kaldırılabilir. Ya bu yaklaşımlar siyasilere yakışıyor mu? Bunlar olacak şeyler mi? Önce biz nerede hata yapıldı?
Технические средства защиты от нападения ракет, в том числе и тепловая защита. Специалисты знают, как это сделать. Мы этого ничего не делали, повторяю еще раз, потому что считали Турцию дружественным государством. И просто не ждали никаких атак.
Russian Defense Ministry has already suspended all cooperation with the Turkish military, including a hotline set up to share information about airstrikes in Syria. After holding talks with French President François Hollande in Moscow, Putin said that they will cooperate with the US-led coalition in its fight against IS. But he cautiously warned that it would be in peril if there are any repeats of Turkish action.
Двойные стандарты, используют их для достижения своих политических целей, ведет с ними преступный бизнес, играют с огнем. История показывает, что такие действия рано или поздно выйдут боком самим.
Despite recent skirmishes over Turkey, huge differences remain over the fate of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Putin dismissed Hollande's statement that Assad should not be part of the political transition in Syria. According to Putin, it is up to Syrians to decide. Analysts suggest that there is no sign of a grand coalition against terror that France has been calling for. Indirectly pointing fingers at the US, Putin suggested that Turkey shot down its plane in the Syrian border after receiving information about its location from the US. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In some more international news now, the Belgian authorities have reduced the threat level in Brussels from its highest level of 4 to 3. Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel stressed that the threat of an attack in Brussels remained real and serious, but said that the imminent nature of the threat was no longer present, bringing the capital in line with the rest of the country. The city was locked down for nearly a week, with schools, universities and the metro system closed and soldiers deployed on the streets. The alert was raised after fears of a Paris-style attack. Some of the Paris suspects lived in Brussels. At least one, Salah Abdeslam, is still at large. Meanwhile, police in Belgium have mounted a number of raids and searches over the past 2 weeks and have charged 5 people with terror-related offences. Let's now bring you some more international news and updates in World Wrap. Germany will join the military campaign against Islamic State militants in Syria by deploying the Tornado reconnaissance jets, refueling aircraft and a frigate to the region. This came after a direct appeal from close partner France for Berlin to do more. The decision to commit military personnel and hardware is a shift for Germany, which has resisted such direct involvement in the conflict. However, it still has no plans to join France, the United States and Russia in conducting airstrikes in Syria. Meanwhile, Berlin police arrested 2 men during raids at the Islamic Cultural Center in Charlottenburg. The men are suspected of preparing to carry out what police said was a serious act of violence representing a danger for the state. The 2 men were reportedly in contact with the Islamist movement. European police forces are on high alert following attacks in Paris on November 13. Pope Francis has said that world leaders must reach a historic agreement to fight climate change and poverty at the upcoming Paris talks, as they face the stark choice to either improve or destroy the environment. The pontiff is in Kenya on the first stop of a 3-nation tour of Africa. The Pope also said that illegal trade in ivory and diamonds fuels conflicts and could destroy Africa's environment. Pope Francis's 5-day visit to Africa will also see him to go to Uganda and the Central African Republic. Well, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump on Thursday denied that he mocked a disabled reporter during a rally in South Carolina on Tuesday. Trump has been under fire for mocking a disabled New York Times reporter. Trump performed an impression of Serge Kowaleski, who suffers from a congenital joint condition. He used the journalist's 2001 article to back up widely disputed claims that thousands of Muslims in New Jersey celebrated the 9/11 attacks. Well, Malian special forces have arrested 2 suspects in connection with the siege at a hotel in the capital Bamako that left 20 people dead. The suspect's identity and alleged role in Friday's attack at the Radisson Blu Hotel is unclear at the moment. Armed men held 170 guests and staff hostage during the 9-hour siege, killing 20 and wounding 14 before police stormed the building. An Al-Qaeda affiliate claimed responsibility for the attack, in which 2 militants died. Moving on to some sports news now. After a day on which 20 wickets fell, India is in complete control of the 3rd test against South Africa. The hosts set a target of 310 runs after being bowled out for 173 runs in their second innings. South Africa need 278 runs more to win the match with 8 wickets in hand. Earlier, the visitors were bundled out for just 79 runs in their first innings. Here's more.
Playing for the turn, inside out short with the ball coming in with the angle. And Ashwin striking. This was lucky. And Morne Morkel was the last man dismissed. Leading edge. A soft
After resuming the second day on 11 for 2, South Africa were in trouble in the very first over as they lost Dean Elgar on the 5th ball of the day. The wicket triggered a batting collapse as South Africa were bundled out for 79 runs in their first innings.
And a simple catch for somebody like Jadeja. And Du Plessis was playing for the turn, inside out shot.
Ravichandran Ashwin took his 14th 5-wicket haul in Test, while Ravindra Jadeja bagged 4 as India took a first innings lead of 136 runs.
Dean Villas was a beautiful delivery.
Swing, seam and bounce, 2 days match over at Trent Bridge. I don't know what that's about. And what's the problem with spin and bounce? It's good even spin and bounce, isn't it? It's about skill for batsmen to play it and counter it.
Towards the off stump.
India looked to make the lead big as they were cruising on 97 for 2 before leg spinner Imran Tahir struck with 3 quick wickets. The hosts continued to lose wickets on the spin-dominated pitch and were bowled out for 173 in the second innings, setting a target of 310 runs. Imran Tahir finished with 5 wickets, while pacer Morne Morkel claimed 3.
And because India is in this position, they can afford to play in this fashion. They've got a lead of 307, just a point on.
Chasing the target, South Africa were in trouble at 32 for 2 at the end of play on day 2. Amit Mishra and Ravichandran Ashwin claimed a wicket each for India. The visitors now need 278 runs more to win with 8 wickets remaining, but with the pitch heavily assisting spinners, it will be a mammoth task. India will look to wrap up the match on day 3 and take an unassailable lead of 2-0 in the 4-match series. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a look now at the other overnight sports news in Sports Beat. Indian shuttler PV Sindhu advanced to the quarterfinals of the Macau Open. She defeated Indonesia's Lindawani Venetri 21-17, 21-18 in straight games and will next take on China's Chen Yufei to seal a berth in the semi-finals. The men's singles 7th seed HS Pranoy saw off China's Qiao Bin 12-21, 21-11, 21-19 in a grueling match. The Sai Praneeth also advanced to the quarters with a straight sets win. Liverpool reached the last 32 of the Europa League with 1 game to spare after coming from behind to beat Bordeaux. Liverpool levelled through James Miller's penalty after Christian Benteke was fouled in the penalty area. Benteke then scored the winner to put Liverpool at the top of the group. US decathlete Ashton Eaton was named the IAF's Male Athlete of the Year for 2015. The 27-year-old broke the world record to win the world title in Shanghai. Nzebe Dibaba of Ethiopia won the female award after breaking the 1,500 meters world record. She took the 1,500 world title in Beijing. That's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.